Hey everyone, thank you so much for having me. My story, well, a lot of it's been a matter of public record for a while now. A story about a wrongful imprisonment, about digital rights, about, well, survival. But today I want to talk about something that came before all of that. The foundational code, you could say, that made everything else that followed even possible. It's a concept I've come to call proof of love. And it's an idea that, for me, totally reframes how we think about connection and maybe even resilience itself.
All right, so let's get into it. To really wrap our heads around this very human idea, we actually need to start in a world that I know really well, the digital one, the world of cryptography and blockchain.
So in the world of tech, we have this concept called proof of work. I'm sure some of you have heard of it. It's basically a way to prove something is true by doing a ton of really hard computational work. You solve a super complex problem just to prove you're being honest, and that lets you add a new, validated block to the chain. It is verification through sheer effort.
But my life taught me something really profound. In the world of human relationships, the most powerful validation, the most authentic proof, it doesn't come from effort. In fact, it kind of comes from the opposite. It comes from vulnerability. It comes from what I now call a proof of love.
Now look, this wasn't some abstract theory I cooked up in a lab. This was forged in the fire of a very real, very personal experience that started with, well, of all things, it started with a simple gift. On June 19th, 2010, I met my girlfriend, Evelyn, and the very next day, she gave me a cactus. We named him Walter. He was this small, hardy, self-sufficient little plant. You know, a symbol of quiet endurance, a kind of placeholder for a truth that was about to be tested in the most extreme way you can possibly imagine. The timeline here it's just striking. That sense of peace was so incredibly brief. Almost immediately after this quiet, simple beginning, my entire life experienced what I can only describe as a complete, system-wide crash.
That crash, that was my arrest. I was wrongfully thrown in prison, and I became the first person in my country's history to be jailed for a computer crime that I did not commit. And the devastating irony of it all? The entire thing started because I was just trying to help Evelyn book a doctor's appointment online, and I found a security flaw.
So there I was, right in the middle of this absolute chaos. The legal system, it was demanding a very simple but very false proof of guilt. But in the middle of that whole nightmare, I discovered a much deeper and much more human form of proof.
And it led me to this really fundamental question: what does authentic support, what does authentic proof of a connection really look like when someone's life is just utterly collapsing? Is it, standing strong? Is it saying everything's going to be okay?
The truest proof I have ever received in my entire life wasn't an act of strength at all. It was Evelyn's raw, completely unfiltered, honest admission. She looked at the situation, the arrest, the prison, the trauma of it all, and she just said, I could not cope. And that was the paradox. Her inability to endure the trauma was the ultimate validation of how real it was. She wasn't rejecting me. She was proving the impossible weight of what was happening more powerfully than any sterile words of support ever could have. She authenticated the severity of the attack on my life by being broken by it herself.
So here's how these two concepts really stack up. Proof of work uses all this computational effort to validate a transaction on a blockchain, right? But proof of love, it uses emotional vulnerability to validate a connection in a human relationship. The input isn't some complex math problem. It's shared trauma. And the output isn't a new block on a chain. It's this foundational, authentic resilience.
This whole experience taught me what my work is all about now. That real connection isn't about maintaining some kind of perfect, sterile order. It's about having the courage to face the messy, real chaos together, even if it breaks you.
So, how did this private, devastating proof actually help me move forward? Well, it became the foundation for reclaiming my own story from a system that seemed absolutely determined to just destroy it.
The system's incompetence. I mean, it would have been comical if it wasn't so tragic. During the raid on my home, they confiscated Walter, the cactus. I guess they thought it was dangerous. They also took a paper cutter, which they called a guillotine, and a Guy Fawkes mask, which they labeled a terrorist manifesto. You just can't make this stuff up.
The loss of Walter was a profound, personal pain. He was this silent witness to the before, and I couldn't even protect him. Later, I channeled that grief into music. I wrote a song for him, just trying to begin to process it all. So rebuilding my narrative after that took two very different approaches. The first one was technical, a kind of proof of work actually. With an AI I called Anna, we painstakingly reconstructed lost memories for my book. But the second was human, an empathetic handshake with a real victim advocate who is also named Anna based on that shared understanding of injustice, something that needs no algorithm to be understood.
And this brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. How did this intensely private foundational proof, this proof of love, become the fuel for a very public mission?
Evelyn's honest vulnerability, that was the authentic validation I needed. It gave me the strength to fight back, to reclaim my own story, and to start building something new from all that wreckage. All of my public work since then, my books, my podcast, my advocacy, that's my proof of work. Every single one is like a new block being added to a public chain, a testament to the resilience that was forged in that private, vulnerable moment. They are all built on top of that initial, incredibly painful proof of love. So the ultimate lesson here is this. My life's work shows that the strongest systems, they aren't the ones that are impenetrable. They're the ones that can be broken, that can be scarred, and still carry the indelible mark of what they endured. The real proof is the ongoing, messy act of sharing that vulnerable truth. I want to leave you all with this final thought. We spend so much of our lives trying to appear strong, right? Trying to hide our cracks and our breaking points. But what if those very vulnerabilities, those moments when we feel like we just cannot cope, what if they are actually our most powerful, most authentic proofs of who we really are? Thank you.
My one true little friend, from the hell of the arrest that brought it all to an end, just for trying to do the right thing, a simple, honest plea. They took away my freedom and my little cactus from me.